selling with authenticity.
It's building that relationship.
About the value.
Because you want to make that impact.
It can make you happy.
Elevate others around
Welcome
us.
to the Selling from the Heart podcast, your home for authentic, effective, and socially integrated sales strategies to help you master the art of selling. Join your co-hosts Larry Levine and Daryl Amy, along with some of the world's best sales thought leaders and practitioners, as we explore ways to help you grow your sales.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host Daryl Amy here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Another day here at Selling from the Heart. It's great to see you. This is going to be a terrific podcast. I can already tell we're going to have a terrific time.
Yeah, this issue of empathy that we're going to talk about today is spot on, and the direction of this conversation is fresh, relevant, and you're going to be excited about this. I'm so excited about a lot of different things, and one of the things that has been really, really awesome, Larry, we've been chatting about it here for the last couple of weeks, is just the feedback we're getting from the new masterclass on, I'm just grateful you took the time to take us all on a deeper dive, a journey into bringing the concept of Selling from the Heart, the book, to life. And so now being able to get your hands on the masterclass is just fantastic, Larry. I'm really grateful you put this together.
Yeah, it's just, I'm just a big believer selling from the heart. It's a lifestyle, and I'm going to take you on a journey and a window into who you are to help you become that authentic, genuine sales professional. It's going to help you grow your client relationships. It's going to help you sell more, and watch what happens. It's cool. It's a cool little journey in the masterclass.
It is. I think it's great. And I love the way every week, every chapter, you're challenging people to go deeper and to take what's in the book and actually not just have it be shelfware, but actually turn it into something that's going to really help continue that journey of transformation. If that sounds like something that'd be really helpful to you, and if you're in sales, I know it will, go to sellingfromtheheart.net/masterclass, sellingfromtheheart.net/masterclass to learn more and get some access and get started on this journey. Larry, this is quite a journey, and it's been a journey over the last few years. One of the things that's happened is all of a sudden, here we are now as this is being recorded in the spring of 2022, we're facing some unprecedented challenges right now, and a very interesting situation has unfolded over the last, recent months, and really over the last couple of years. And that is, we're all in sales dealing with supply chain challenges, problems, opportunities, hassles, insert whatever description word you want there. And I'm excited about the guests we have today. As you get ready to introduce them, I think this is going to be a very interesting and practical twist on what we're finding out there right now.
Yeah, no, there's so much that I love as you bring Adam on. There's so much that I just love about Adam Peak. He's just a great guy. He's such a kindred spirit of selling from the heart. Our paths crossed actually out in that social highway. We have some mutual friends that are near and dear to us that I reached out to Adam and said, hey, we just have to have a conversation. But what I like about our conversation is this is going to be real world. This is applicable. This is coming through the lens of somebody who's out there right now dealing with supply chain issues. I love this conversation that we're going to have. Adam Peak, welcome to Selling from the Heart podcast.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Daryl. It's exciting to be on the other side of this. And I will say, you guys have a significantly better produced podcast. I'm just like, wow, there's a video to start this thing. Holy mackerel. This is awesome.
This is top shelf because we have guests like Adam Peak on the podcast. We'll make sure everything is lined out. And, but Adam, as we get started this conversation, welcome. We're really glad you're here. But the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you, Adam Peak, to sell from the heart?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I wasn't planning on doing the interview from my podcast closet, my podcast background, but we're having some technical difficulties.
You look fantastic.
It looks great.
No, thank you. But I have this quote that's behind me that would have been perfect. That a friend of mine, her name is Andrea Hardiman, and she made this. It's a piece of art with the silhouette of Lauryn Hill, and it's one of my favorite hip hop quotes of all time. It says, "How are you going to win if you ain't right within?" And it's from the
Mm.
Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is a phenomenal album. And so when you talk about selling from the heart, I have that quote. It's been part of my life for a long time. This album came out when I was, geez, in high school, I guess. So I've it, I've often thought like you can't go out into the world and especially in sales, go out and try to get new business and do all the prospecting and follow all the techniques and everything like that. If inside you are really, struggling, you're really suffering, you can fake it for a little while, but eventually it's just going to beat you up. So having that resolve internally that like who I am is not defined by what I sell. It's not defined by if I hit my budget or not. That I believe even Sandler talks about this like IR theory. Like when I went through some Sandler training, they had asked me once, if you're on a desert island and you don't have any of your identity, if you don't have your wife or your kids or your sports or whatever it is on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you? And I was the only one in the class who was like, I'm a 10. And everyone was like, oh, I don't know if I could be that way. Because for my whole life, I had worked on, not in sales, just through actually pastoral ministry, worked on like, hey, I got to be content with who I am and who I was made to be. And that how that comes out, whether I'm a pastor, whether I'm a podcast host, whether I'm on TikTok or I'm selling packaging, like it's got to come from a place of authenticity, or else I'm going to forget, oh, I was this person on this platform. I was this person over here. I was this person on this podcast. It makes, I don't have to remember like who I faked being in all these
Mhm.
different platforms or in front of these different customers. I just get to be who I am. And that's a really freeing place for me to be. So that's what it means for me to sell from the heart.
Oh,
Mm.
this is so good. Just real quick, you got to repeat that quote again, just please, for our listeners, because I think is I love it. Go ahead,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
more
So it's
time.
it's from Lauryn Hill. It's from the song "Do Wop That Thing," and it's "How are you gonna win if you ain't right within?" And she repeats it, "How are you gonna win if you ain't right within?" It's a great song.
And this is why I wanted you to repeat it for a couple of reasons, because I'm just a big, huge believer, as is Daryl, as with our Selling from the Heart listeners, that the inner journey to your heart is tough. It is one of the toughest things you will do, but I promise you this, the rewards are exponential if you're willing to go down that road. And I know you've been down that road, Adam.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's tough too because without getting too into the philosophy rabbit hole, but one of the things, if we're not careful, that lies to us the most is actually ourselves. And so we have to be careful on that journey, that journey is not just an isolated time of self-absorption, because oftentimes we will lie. We will tell ourselves lies about who we really are. And so pulling in people that you trust and inviting them in on that journey is really, really critical.
Wow. Yes, yes, yes. And this is, you've the hard work is the heart work, and you've got to do the heart work. I mean, every salesperson at some point in their career has justified their existence by saying people buy from people, and the core of a person is the heart. We've got to do that work. And one of the things that's coming out right now, and this is where we want to go today with this conversation. One of the things that you see coming out right now is a big issue in the world, and I'm going to let you set it up because you set it up so well. But it's a massive heart issue. So, Adam, I'm curious, when you look at the world, especially the world that you're in, with this unique view of being a sales leader in the packaging industry, talk to us about what you see as being one of the largest issues in sales right now.
Yeah, so the packaging industry, for those of you who are, we were joking before the call that you guys, the listeners of this podcast were just like, we need more packaging guests. I was like, finally, we'll go get them.
Finally,
Yeah,
finally, we've heard your cries.
Yeah. Derek Nave, are you listening?
yeah, Derek, shout out to Derek. Everyone go check out the packaging show on your podcast. Wherever
They were
you're.
standing outside the studio with pitchforks and torches
I
saying,
know,
if
and
you don't get a
boxes.
packaging guest on here.
Jeez, we're so angry. But the packaging industry is massive, and I'll kind of just set it up with this a little bit, and then we'll get into what's going on right now, but it's nearly a $1 trillion global industry. And everywhere. So if you look around you, wherever you're listening to this, if you're in a car or on your phone or at your computer or whatever, if you look around you, I can guarantee you every single thing that exists in your room has interacted with packaging on some level. Either it was shipped, it was put in a box, it has a label on it, it had edge protectors, it went on a pallet. I mean, all of this is the packaging industry. But the kicker is that all of that packaging, in order to be produced, like that bottle and that cap, that all came in packaging. And then the packaging that had the packaging also needed packaging to get to the plate. It's like this weird inception for packaging. And so it's this huge industry that people don't really give much mind to, unless they're like, "Oh, my Apple box is so beautiful," and I'm like, "Well, I've been to the facility where that Apple box is produced, and it's not a beautiful production process. I'll tell you that much." So enjoy your beautiful Apple boxes, but um, so this industry has always just sort of existed, kind of in the background, right? Like
Mhm.
you knew it was there, but nobody really thought about it. Nobody really talked about it. I was blessed to be able to give a TEDx talk, and I remember when I told my family I was going to start this packaging podcast 3 years ago. My daughter, who was 9 at the time, was like, "A packaging podcast? Like, what are you going to talk about? You put a label on a bottle, and then you put the bottle in the box. Is that it? Is that all you're going to talk about?" Like, that's just kind of how we've always interacted with it. But recently, with two things that have really occurred. One is like climate change and sustainability has really started to impact, plastics in the ocean and things like that. That all intersects with packaging. And that's been really coming up and bubbling to the surface over the last 10 to 15 years. And so we've started to see more importance in the industry. But lately with COVID, which I don't know if you guys are aware of, there's been this global pandemic for the last couple of years. It's really impacted a lot of people. Not many people have heard of it, but
Yeah.
it's certainly hit me. But COVID has really shined a light on supply chain risk and supply chain problems. And I've been in packaging for 15 years. I was a buyer of packaging, and then I got it. So I was in sourcing, and then I got into sales. For the first time in the last 15 years, the manufacturer has the upper hand because of supply chain constraints. So we can go like I'm a senior vice president of sales at a company called Myers Printing, and as the SVP of sales, I could go to our customers and say, "Hey, tough luck. We can't print your stuff, so I guess you got to go." And and they have to come back to, or you could pay 50% more. And so when we see these inflationary pressures that are happening, a lot of that's just because everyone's just got to take it, because you can't sell your product without the packaging on it. You can't sell, that vitamin bottle if it doesn't have a label on it.
Mhm.
There's no way to actually buy it. You couldn't even put it in a bottle if you couldn't get the bottle. So all of these pressures are being passed on. And what's happening is there's a lot of salespeople, especially in my industry, who are not leading that conversation with that empathy and compassion we talked about, because they can just go in and say, "Hey, here's your 25% price increase. Congratulations. You get to do business with us. How good does that make you feel?" And it's like,
Mhm.
that makes me feel awful. And I don't like that at all, because they've never been taught empathy. They've never been taught compassion. They felt like the buyers were their enemies. And now it's their turn. Vengeance is mine, saith the seller, is what's going on right now. And I think it's a big problem. And there'll be a reckoning for sure, when the supply chain flips. But for right now, that's what we're seeing, a lot of that. I
Oh,
covered a
this
lot of ground there.
No, no, this is so relevant and it's so
Mhm.
timely. And let's peel back this empathy and compassion just for a moment. You as the sales leader inside your organization, I'm a big believer that this all starts with you. How do you view empathy and compassion? Then how do you then impart this knowledge and Adam's wisdom when it comes around empathy and compassion down to your salespeople who then take it out to your clients? Would you be willing to share, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really my wisdom. So, as I can't remember if I alluded to or not, but I'm an ordained pastor, and so I still get to preach a lot. And so, my wisdom comes a lot from my faith. And so I would look at, there's a verse in the Bible that says that we should be transformed by the renewing of our minds. and that we should consider others' needs above our own. There's a very it's very a part, the servant leadership mentality is very much a part of my faith upbringing. And so taking that and translating that into the business world, what I really have encouraged all the people that I get to work with and the sales people that I get to serve on a daily basis is put yourself in their shoes. Like that's really where empathy starts. Surrender your own desires. This could have been the person that has just put you through every single grueling RFP that you can possibly imagine, and they've just been a jerk to you. Do you want to continue that cycle of volatility? Or are you willing to take a step back and say, like, what does their job look like right now? What is it that they are going through? Because it's not just packaging, they're getting these problems. They're getting it from all angles. And you know what? Maybe they've had a really difficult time in isolation with COVID. Like, are you willing to surrender that, put yourself in their position and say, how would I like to receive this news? Do I just want to get an email with the price increase? Do I just want to get a letter in the mail that says, "Hey, sorry, your lead time on your packaging was 5 weeks and now it's 20 weeks." Is that how you want to receive that news? Or do you want a personal touch to it?
Hmm.
Do you want to know that that person has taken some time to think and to even ask you about it, to partner with you and to say, like, we're here to journey with you through this process. And so that's what I've really tried to encourage a lot of the salespeople that I get to serve to do.
This is this time is so interesting because you think about, if you've been in sales for any period of time, obviously you've been in that process where you've got transactional customers grinding you for price, right? And just, that's just brutal. And I think there is, there's finally this moment where some people are going, "Ha, it's your turn," right?
My time has come.
Yeah. And you can do that. You can do that. But that's such a short-term perspective, because let's just be real. This is, this situation we're in right now is not going to last forever.
No.
And the tables will turn again. And when those tables turn back, are you going to be known as the provider that was a jerk to that person, or not even a jerk? I love it. Look, what you're saying about just like cold as ice, right? Or I remember years ago working for a technology company when new product launch was in high demand. There were all kinds of orders and very limited supply. I was kind of the middleman, and I was young in my career. And I'll confess, like, there were some times I just wanted to hide under my desk, like in the fetal position, and pretend the phone, back then the fax machine, wasn't ringing. And but you realize that even though those conversations are not fun, kind of exhausting, that it's not good news to deliver allocation news or price increase news or combination, that the reality is the way you handled those things today are going to determine the level of relationships you have a year from now, 10 years from now. This empathy is such an important thing. First of all, I think this is so laser spot on right now to where we are in the world. And this isn't just the packaging industry. I mean, every industry has some supply chain issues. Empathy, like, here's the challenge I see, Adam. Sales professionals, everybody's frazzled. I mean, it's been tough, right? It's been a tough grind for now over 2 years as we're recording this. Everybody's frazzled. The buyers, you don't have to scratch very low below the surface to find raw emotions right now, because we're just so drained. As a sales professional, sales has been the same way. It's been so tough. How would you coach sales professionals to develop a reservoir of empathy? Because I think a lot of our selling from the heart people intend to be empathetic and are naturally empathetic, but I have a sense right now that the gas tank's kind of running on fumes when it comes to give a rip some days.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to dig deep. So how do you do that?
Yeah, and I mean, pardon the expression, but excuse me, gas is also expensive right now too. So it's like the gas tank is empty, but it's also it feels like it's a lot of work to fill it back up.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna it's hard to say like how would I coach a large group of salespeople because I think empathy requires being able to like I said, kind of enter into that other person's journey.
Hmm.
And I think there's some practical ways that you can do it. So I get to be a student of gap selling, is kind of where I land, and Larry and I have connected over that as well. And
Hmm.
it's the thing that I really appreciated the most was like, hey, have the empathy to really do a robust discovery and to be able to tell somebody, "Hey, we're not actually a great fit for you right now based on your line of questions."
Hmm.
And as as moving in from like a direct salesperson into this SVP role where I get pitched a lot of products, I find that a lot of reps, because maybe of that grind, it just feels like I just wanna throw out my products as much as I can because I've got a job to do, I've got
Hmm.
numbers to hit, and I don't wanna take the time because empathy is hard, like, that gas tank is hard to fill up. It's hard work to do the research, to take the time, to ask the questions, and to get all the way down to the end of that and go, "Oh, man, we're just not the right fit for you." And to have that kind of courage to say that, I think requires a lot of that heart work that you're talking about. Um, but in order to get there, not just in a sales discovery call, I encourage people to have curiosity and empathy in their own life, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it's really easy today to isolate yourself, put yourself in an echo chamber, and only listen to voices that agree with you, whether that's on social media or in your social circles. But man, you can go get empathy by just seeking out people who are different than you, talking with them, engaging in relationships, having people over to your home. Our house is filled with all sorts of different people from different ethnicities. We go to a church with 31 ethnicities. I'm like the only white person in this church in Salt Lake City who gets to preach. Like, we try to surround our family with different points of view. I've taken my kids to India, and that's a privilege, I know, but like surrounding yourselves with these with different types of people with different viewpoints, I think can start to create a culture of empathy in your personal life, which can then carry over into that. Now, if you don't live in a neighborhood where you can do that, an area you can do that, then seek out different authors, find different groups. One thing, and I'll shut up here after this, but one thing that drives me a lot, and I think about this constantly, I really do, is that I am somebody else's heretic. Like that there are people in the world who think that what I believe and the way that I go about whether it's selling or my beliefs or how I'm raising my kids is like totally heretical. And so I want to go forward in humility, knowing that there's a subsection of people who believe that about me, and they might be right. And I need to learn with humility. I need to engage with empathy, and I need to be fearlessly curious. That's a Keenan term, right? Like we need to be fearless in our curiosity about other people and not sitting back in isolated judgment. And I think when we can do that personally, and then if we engage as salespeople, that's that right within, right? Like we're gonna be able to go win and lead with empathy because that's just how we are in our interpersonal lives.
God, there was so much gold right there. I mean, God, you can continue if you want and really drill down on that. But this is why connection and how you relate to people is so important.
Hmm.
And it just, I'm just oftentimes I have this whole phrase, you got to slow down to sell faster. A shout out to Kevin Davis, who wrote the book Slow Down, Sell Faster, decades ago. But this is how people connect these days. And here's the interesting point behind this, and I'll throw it out for conversation around this. All you need to do is go ask your clients.
Mm.
Go ask your clients what words they would use, right? What words right now would they use to describe that salesperson that they connect with at deep levels? Just share with me some of those words. I promise you this, everybody. It's going to be some of the words that Adam Peake just used.
That's
Hmm.
that's a great word, Larry. I mean, it, yeah, there's a lot of talk about like, well, I don't really know, like, how would I? That's a great practical step. That yeah, go talk to your current customers and ask them. What was the exact question you said? Because I really liked it. I want to write it down.
I would just say, go ask your customers right now. Take just a handful of your customers that are near and dear to you, the ones that you have those quote unquote rock solid relationships with, and just ask them, what words would you describe that salesperson that you connect with, right?
Mm.
Just give me those words.
Mm-hmm.
Share with me if you might, that salesperson out there that you just get, that brings that spark that's always there, that's always leaning in. What words would you use to describe? I promise you this. Words like genuine and real and heartfelt and sincere and caring, all these things are going to come to the forefront. Here's what I submit to everybody. Engage and really understand what that means. And then here's the best piece of advice I ever got. This is from my first business coach. Stop acting like a salesperson.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop acting like a salesperson.
I think that's excellent, Larry, and I'm really enjoying this conversation here today, Adam. I think it's extremely relevant, and I think one of the things that we might consider in all of this, is just reframing this a little bit. In other words, supply chain issues, price increases, allocations, back orders, all these things. To a sales professional, these can seem like a real hassle because they are. They're a hassle to your client. They're a hassle to sales rep. It's really easy just to send the email. It's really easy just to, let the letter go out and not acknowledge it. We can reframe this, though, as an opportunity. What happens when times are hard is what defines who we are when times are good. And if you look at this as an opportunity to reach out and display empathy and caring to your clients, I know those conversations aren't fun. I know those conversations are sometimes tense, but there is an opportunity to pick up the phone, jump on a Zoom call, and demonstrate empathy and say, I know this is hard right now. I'm here for you. We're going to work, can we work together on this? What can we do? And to show some empathy. This is an opportunity right now to build relational equity that can go with you for the next decade or more. And like, I know this looks like a terrible time in a lot of ways, but can we reframe this? How could we reframe this as an opportunity to build relational equity in these interesting, the supply chain moment?
Yeah, I love that term relational equity, Daryl. It's so I think it's often it's not ignored because a lot of salespeople say, well, people buy from people and people buy from me, because they like me and these kinds of things. But like real, like the idea of like not just relationships, but like equity that has value, like is so critical. And this, and I can't speak for every other industry, though I know a lot of them are going through it, but I can speak for my industry. Um, and I put a post on LinkedIn about this as well, that like this should be the time that you have worked the most diligently, not just sent off the emails and said, like, I guess I'll just count my orders when they come in because I can't go prospect. I can't go do anything. We can't ship anything. What am I going to do? Because we're on allocation with our suppliers. Like we start to get that, like that head trash that comes in. And instead, like pouring into building up your own foundation, building up that relational equity, taking the time to have the hard conversations, to come up with alternative solutions, to even recommend. I'll tell you this, I had recommend other suppliers. I have one of my closest business relationships is with a gentleman, excuse me, who we were running labels for him. And I called him one day. He's the owner of a company. And I was like, I gotta be honest with you. I don't think we're a really good fit for your business. And he was like, oh, well, what do we do? And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. This was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I said, I found a company in Denver, Colorado, which is near where they're at. I'm going to make sure that they get your art files. I'm going to go I'm going to go do your press check for you at my competitor. And I want to make sure that these things run well because I really believe in what you're doing, so much so that I can tell you that
Wow.
we're not the right people for you. I couldn't do it for everybody, but I really believed in what their mission was. I built up that relational equity. And I can't tell you how many people this guy has referred me to within his network, how much business I've been able to run for him since then as I've changed companies, all because I just took some time to not take that short-sighted, quick, like, "Hey, sorry, bud, take it or leave it. We can't do it, but this is what we can do," and then leave him out there on an island trying to figure it out while his products can't sell. I took the time to care about him, and that has paid dividends. If we're speaking in these financial terms, that has paid dividends for me over the years, and I'm still only 41 years old. I mean, these relationships grow and grow and grow in their value and importance as you invest in them, um, even over and above your monthly commission check.
Wow.
Oh, just really quick as we bring this to a close is I love this because, quite often, and I'm going to throw this out to sales leaders that are listening to this. I understand that there's numbers to hit and there's budget to hit. And I understand, we're looking for training opportunities and we're looking for the tips and the tactics and so forth. But what we're talking about, this is people skill stuff. This is relationship building stuff. These are the things that I promise you will 2x and 3x your growth.
Yep.
And, Adam's alluded to it. People buy from people. We've heard that forever and a day. We've heard people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Those terms will be here for long after we're off this planet. Here's what I submit to you as sales leaders. Work with your salespeople this year on developing their people skills and the relationship building skills, and watch what starts happening to sales growth.
100%.
Adam, thanks for sharing time, man. This has been fantastic. How can people get more Adam Peak in their life?
Oh, goodness. Well, my kids laughed at the fact that I got set up a TikTok channel 6 months ago. But I've been shocked at that platform. As of today, I've got almost 13,000 people who follow me on TikTok.
Wow.
Where I just make short packaging videos. So that's at Packaging Pastor. If you want to connect up with me on TikTok.
All right.
But it's really been a powerful place. I'm on LinkedIn. I post there once or twice a day. So you can find me there, Adam Peak. And then I host the People of Packaging podcast. We're at about episode, as of this recording, like 122. So that's
Awesome.
really been growing. And then, I don't know. I do a lot of work with the gap selling training with Keenan, and then also at Myers Printing. I have 5 kids and 1 wife and a rap song on iTunes.
Well, there you go. Lots of ways to connect. Hey, we'll see you on TikTok. This is going to be fantastic. Adam, thanks for sharing.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you.
Daryl, Larry, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Wow, Daryl, that was good. That was one terrific conversation.
The opportunity right now to build relational equity is phenomenal. And these are hard conversations to have with, especially the people you're having to say no to or wait longer to. These are hard conversations to have, but to have them in the right way, long after this supply chain thing, someday we've all been around enough to know that what goes around, like this is going to move on. What are you going to do in this season to demonstrate empathy and build relational equity? So really great opportunity.
People will remember how you make them feel. I promise you this, your clients remember how you treated them. Every interaction, every email, every phone conversation, they will remember.
Or lack thereof, right?
Exactly.
Or lack thereof. Yeah, this is good. And this is the time to do the hard work, which is the heart work. If you want some guidance on that, take a deeper dive in the Selling from the Heart Masterclass. Join us in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group, a community of like-hearted sales professionals. All of this is aiming towards helping us develop the skills that are going to result in empathy, going to result in authentic relationships, going to result in the types of doing business in a way that is going to be sustainable, that's going to be enjoyable, and going to be highly rewarding. And Larry, I'm so excited to get to be a part of this movement with you. Thank you to everybody out there who's leaving reviews, everybody who is sharing the podcast. And I'm just so grateful for all of what's going on out there to bring authenticity to the sales profession. Larry, it's exciting.
It's so exciting, and who would have thought, right, Daryl? I love Adam Peak. Who would have thought we would have a wrapping, packaging pastor on Selling from the Heart podcast?
Ladies and gentlemen, you never
That's
know
a
what you're
first.
going to get. So make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Until then, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep adding real value, show empathy to build relational equity, and most of all, sell from the heart.